It's TooT3rpd.
So you gonna freestyle?
No, I don't.
She doesn't even have the headphones on. Give her a break.
Rhythm, no headphones.
That'll make sense later. But it's a TooT3rpd podcast, and it's your boy Donovan, a.k.a. Mr. You Knew What It Was When You Signed Up.
It's Lila, a.k.a. Mrs. Doubt. Oh, fuck, I messed it up already. a.k.a. Mrs. Dope Flower. It is a play on Mrs. Doubt. Mrs. Dope Flower.
I like it. I feel like you should do your whole AKAs.
A.k.a. your Grow Girl from Grow Gear. A.k.a. Lila Midwest.
Because she does it best.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm going to keep them coming.
Go ahead.
I just picture myself now in a Mrs. Doubtfire meme, so now I have to change it.
You can't unsee that.
I can't. It's stuck in my head now, and it's yeah.
Build a
Now
girl,
it's
you
stuck
know
in
what
our
time it is.
Right. Okay, today we have a special guest with us. It is Tammy P.
Hi.
And Tammy P is the co-president of Jaine. We'll talk more about that, but it is a women in cannabis organization for the state of Missouri. The only? One of the only?
Let's call it the only for Missouri.
The premier, yeah. And she's also a contributor to GreenWay Media. And she has a new and current position with Heya Wellness as their corporate director of marketing and sales. So we've been telling you, we're going to be getting some folks in and on featured who work in the industry. So we are here to deliver. Thank you so much, Tammy, for coming on.
Whoa, before we go a little bit further, though, I feel like we forgot to drop our AKA, though. We heard she got an AKA, too.
Oh, shoot. What is it?
The
I can
QOC.
hardly wait. Oh, QOC.
Yeah, QOC.
So shout out to the Lancasters for giving me that QOC as my moniker. I'm putting it to good use, clearly.
Stands for?
Queen of Cannabis.
That's right.
You're welcome.
I like it. Yeah, I'm really glad to have you out. Tammy has boundless energy. Like I can, well, okay, now we know why. Okay, this is all making sense now. This is all making sense. So,
She double cup for real, y'all.
yeah, Tammy walked up with 2 double venti cups. And I thought that one of them might be for me. And I was like, oh, wow, how considerate she is. But she never extended it outward. And come to find out, they are her fuel for the evening.
They're the first stop tonight. These are not the only 2 I've had today, in all fairness.
Yo, how many coffees do you drink a day?
I thought this was a judgment-free zone.
I mean, it is, but I mean,
I'm not gonna justify that with a number.
see, I don't like that, because if it's judgment free, you shouldn't even care, because it's judgment free.
But when you ask me to assign a number, I feel like there is judgment. It's implied. Like it's like when you ask someone how many people they've been with, and men and women answer that question differently. And there's always that question in your head where you're like, well, if I say this number, they're gonna think I'm promiscuous. If I say this number, they're gonna think I'm inexperienced
Or lying.
So I have as many coffees as I need to make it happen.
I like that.
She does. She's got so much energy and is just really. I mean, you've just been a joy to talk with and get along with. So I'm really glad to have you here, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you so far. So
Thanks
for coming.
I think you make it very easy.
Oh, thanks. Cool. So we're gonna learn about Tammy P today. Do you want to start off? You had kind of started to tell us, and then we cut you off and told you to save it. So. What about your, 2 questions. What about your start in cannabis and what kind of sparked your interest, but maybe what's your first experience with cannabis as well?
So my first experience, my parents will die. Not really. They live in a judgment-free zone as well. I can remember when I was a little kid, and my dad was rolling one, and I said, "What is that?" And he kind of had this look of terror in his eyes that I can remember this many millennia later. And he goes, "It's homemade cigarettes." And then I never saw him make homemade cigarettes again. So, number 1, I think that's good parenting. He didn't say anything bad about it, never made it stigmatized. But he also didn't want me to, come into this world talking to people about homemade cigarettes. So my whole family has been cannabis users for a number of years. My parents grew up in the 70s, and, well, they grew up in the 60s, but they got married when they were 19, and I come from a fairly small family, but everyone in my family consumes. And, you know, back in the day, it was like you were a stoner, but one of the things that I've come to realize, and I think a lot of us have come to realize, is that people have been using cannabis as medication. It was everybody else that made them call it something else, like being a stoner. Everybody has their vices, and cannabis has made a difference to people. So growing up, everyone was consuming, and I was a really good joint roller at 14 for my aunts and uncle. They put me to work, never tried to make me try it, always were curious why I didn't want to try it. It was just never my thing. I was like, yeah, I think it's fine that you do it, but I don't really have any interest. Plus, you know, when we're dumb kids, if you're not forbidden to do something, you're a little less likely to want to do it.
Exactly.
So it was never like a thing. And then,
I'm sorry to cut you off.
please, because I'll keep going.
So one of the things I wanted to ask, you said is you started rolling joints at 14. So what age did they make it to where we stopped hiding it and it was like, okay, let's have a conversation about what this is?
My parents never did it in front of me, but they were also both in professions where there was always a threat of drug testing, and so they abstained. My aunts and uncle were always very open about it. The first time they did it in front of me was at a Bon Jovi concert at the arena. And they, come to find out, were really nervous about it, doing it in front of me. They knew that I knew. Everything was cool. It was right after that my professional joint rolling really took root. But as I came to be an adult and I started, you know, kind of developing my own idea of what I thought the world should look like and my point of view, I started seeing that a lot of people were turning to it, and it was a lot safer. And then around the mid-90s, there started to be a lot more talk about legalization that could be a reality. And so I started following the cannabis movement globally in 98. But I was still working in a corporate environment, so it was very much something that I did almost as a hobby, like reading up and learning things. And when Canada started moving towards what would be actual legalization and California started, then I started thinking about investing and learning more about it as a business. But it always remained like this thing on the side. And then I had this big plan. I would stay in corporate America till I turned 50. I'd retire and start a new career in cannabis. Healthcare in corporate America almost killed me, no lie. And it was just about the time when Missouri had just managed to think it was really going to happen. And I said, okay, I could do this. I mean, it's going to mean a lot of changes financially. It's going to mean a lot of changes culturally. But I could totally do this. And someone that I knew, a woman, Julie Suntrup is her name, said to me, it's some of the best career advice I've ever gotten. She said, give yourself 30 days to decide if you're going to go all in or not. And if you're not going to go all in, come back to corporate. And I did it, and I haven't looked back. But I became a patient 5 years ago because I have chronic insomnia and was taking a lot of pharma that, you know, it's like I'm not talking about like Ambien. I'm talking about like the things that you don't even tell your friends because they're going to be like, oh, you're taking that? But it is incredible medicine for insomnia in particular for me. So it's a pretty boring story.
And did you wait to smoke then until you became a patient? Because you were saying something about 5 years ago.
I tried it before I was a patient.
Okay.
And as soon as we were able to get patient cards, I got one. It's not exactly a rite of passage, but in some ways it is, depending on how long you've been around and the progress that we've made. So, yeah.
And you're from Missouri, so all this is Missouri.
I was in Texas for 13 years.
Okay.
Still followed it there. It's where I started investing, was when I lived there. But I've been back in Missouri for 9 years.
Okay.
I got to ask a famous question. What high school?
So Missouri. So St. Louis.
Got to.
3140.
Wentzville Indians.
Okay.
Yeah, they're called something different now. It's like the whole the whole district is called something different. So,
Got it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, can you talk to us a little bit more about the transition from corporate America to cannabis, where we're kind of known as like the wild, wild west as far as business goes? How's it been? What's been the most difficult? What's been the most rewarding?
I think the most rewarding is opportunities like this. So, one of the things that I found in cannabis is that there's a lot of serendipity. And I'm not, hippy dippy or new age or any of the sort of monikers that people want to assign people that think differently. But it is different in a lot of ways. But if you've watched it for long enough and seeing what people are doing in other states, you kind of learn that the green rush is not necessarily what you think it is. You want to have the best of intentions about what people are doing and why they're doing it. And while in corporate America, I think people do a better job of play acting, that everything that they're doing is with good intent and reason, I find cannabis, people aren't suffering from transparency. There's really no two ways about it. You can tell pretty quickly when you talk to someone in the industry, they have a story. And that's always one of the first questions that I ask people. So what's your cannabis story? Because it helps you understand their relationship with the industry as well as their relationship with the plant, how they got here. I mean, I'm guessing you both have a cannabis story. Mm-hmm. For some people, it's that they had a child who was very ill. This changed their lives. For some people, it's that they had an opioid addiction, and this helped them get through that. I mean, everybody's got something, and you don't get that in the corporate realm, I don't think. Mm-hmm. There's also, we kind of talked before the show started, I also feel like I'm a lot more able to be myself and not this facade with a big title that has to always be fitting a certain image. Mm-hmm. And I find that,
That's been a huge thing for me, transitioning out of, because I was all cannabis for a long time from high school, and then I transitioned into a more corporate position. Now, I always worked in mid-sized companies that were, hospitality or travel, and one of them in particular was very, it was very progressive. Like a big portion of our employee base was like wearing Tivas and Chacos, and like they were on the road for 6 months out of the year living out of vans and stuff. So It was a very, but they still had to pass drug tests because they were DOT drivers.
Right.
So that was interesting. But yeah, that's been a huge way, is just being able to be who I am at all parts of the day, not just when I'm at home. It's like, oh, wow, that's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders.
Well, and the serendipity thing, everything just seems to sort of fall into place. I've found it's one connection that you make, and you get along really well. We talked about Brennan England earlier, who...
Shout out.
President of the fan club, Brennan. You meet people and you hear their story, and then you forge a relationship with them, and before you know it, your circle has grown in such a way that you meet Lila, and you're like, Lila, tell me about your business. Tell me about Grow Gear. And instantly I'm like, okay, I need to introduce Lila to this person and this person. And that's the fulfilling thing. Mm-hmm. Because you're connecting like-minded people, and everyone is benefiting from it. I love that.
That's awesome. You are, what is your bio? You are like the connector. What do you... at least I think of you as a connector. I think you
have. My LinkedIn one? I think I have industry insider and connector.
Yeah. Yep. That's awesome. And the way that it's kind of still forming provides a lot more opportunity to do that, right?
For sure.
Yeah. And what about the most difficult part of the transition?
That's a hard one because of many reasons. But I think, I recognize my own weaknesses in compartmentalizing people. So I see a lot of things in black and white, and I need to see things more gray, but I sort of have this running tally of two lists in my head when it comes to the industry. There's this group, who are people that I would walk through fire for to make successful and help. And then this group are the people that could be on fire, and I could be holding a bucket of water, and I would not put it on them. My granny used to say, wouldn't spit on them if they were on fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep.
And I don't like that I do that, but it's also not snap judgments. At least I give it some time to see.
All right. Got some pushback.
Lay on.
Because it's not judging. Why? So, I noticed you said that earlier. I'm going to bring up the coffee thing again. It's not judging if you're comfortable with it. Because I'm not judging you. I just want to know, because I think that's actually pretty impressive that you automatically just came in here and was just like, this is what this is.
I appreciate that.
I just think it's actually kind of bold. Like, you clearly don't give a fuck. That's why I was asking. Yeah.
You heard it here. It's official. There are no of those given.
Well, I think there's, if I'm coming from my own experience with it, it's a little bit of gut and intuition that guides those opinions. And so a lot of times I talk myself out of it because
Stay true to self.
I know, because I'll see the indications or the red flags or whatever the behaviors, and I'll be like, oh no, give him another chance, give him another chance, give him another chance. And then I'm always coming out that I'm right at the end of the day anyway. So how many times do you test that theory over and over until you're just like, all right, I'm going to trust my gut at this point?
Well, and how much of that is influenced by positions that we've held in the past, especially coming for us from a corporate world?
Yeah.
There's always going to be the guy selling Rolexes out of the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
And once you've met that guy in 10 different industries, you recognize that guy and you're like, oh, you're the Rolex out of the trunk guy.
Mm-hmm.
Your hair looks a little different.
You know, I mean,
Nice
and I
different
think a
jacket
lot
today.
of that, I think that stereotypes exist for a reason. And there are a lot of stereotypes that you see working in corporate America, especially in a large company, where it's these same 10 people and you switch industries or you switch companies, those 10 people still exist.
Mm-hmm.
They just look different, have different names.
Sometimes.
They're
Yeah.
still not the people I would choose to spend my money with or hang out with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. So coming from a corporate background, and you're, of course, applying a lot of that experience and knowledge into this new industry, how much of it is the blueprint the same? Is the blueprint for cannabis business the same as the other industries that you've worked in?
Some of it. I think there are some core tenets that are required to run a business of any size in any industry.
Mm-hmm.
If someone provides you a product or a service, you pay them.
Yeah.
If someone provides you with a product or service that you're not happy with, you can respectfully talk with them about it. If they go above and beyond, you should shout it from the rooftops, and you should treat your people well. I think one of the things that makes me sad for the cannabis industry is that so many people want to be sitting in these seats. If we post a retail role in a dispensary anywhere in Missouri, any company, there's likely to be 50 to 100 applicants for one spot.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talk to applicants, they all say, when I ask the question, so why cannabis? Well, I'm really passionate about it. I love that. But there has to be more. This is still a job. Mm-hmm. We're still professionals. And there's still work ethic that you have to bring forth. And so, you know, I credit my corporate career a lot for how driven I am and my work ethic. But it wasn't a choice then. You know, I mean, I worked in the days of Mad Men type mentality when it came to work. Mm-hmm. And so you did whatever it took because you felt like you were lucky to be there. Mm-hmm. What's unfortunate is that we have so many people who want to work in the industry that they're taking jobs for not very competitive wages, no benefits, not great working conditions in some cases. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's kind of a misperception that if you work in cannabis, you get free product, you get high all day, and you can do those things but not be successful.
I like to compare it to like I know we say businesses like different are different, but they're really not. If you really run a legit business, it's run all the same. So like you're not gonna go to Frito-Lay and expect I'm gonna just eat all this shit that I feel like I want to eat. Lil Debbie, I pay for that shit. So yeah, I eat some of it, but for the most part, I'm trying to sell this. So
Right.
you know what time it is. It's all different. It's all the same in all the industries. And I feel like a lot of the times we try to compartmentalize things. It's like, no, there needs to be more of like a business front on certain aspects of it. Like, look at it as you are a Frito-Lay or you are one of these. You can become one of these industries. Don't ever look at it like you can't become that. Just because cannabis isn't that today, it very well will be one day. Because honestly, the Frito-Lays and all them motherfuckers getting ready to take this shit over with anyway. So it doesn't look like it right now, but real talk. Like, always treat yourself like you are that business. Never look at yourself like you're anything less. Honestly, if you want, I don't ever talk my shit on this, but I look at TooT3rp like it's one of these big podcasts too, because that's the energy that you have to have. That's what makes me get up here and do this every week, because you have to have that type of energy. You have to feel like your thing is just as good as them.
And it's a lot more than just getting on here and doing it every week.
That's right.
Yeah, takes a lot more than that.
That's right.
Even at the level that it's at right now, still takes a lot of work. Yeah.
Just put respect on your name. That's the one thing I will ask everyone. Please, just put some more respect on your name.
And be comfortable with who you go to bed with at night if that's yourself.
Oh, you can't hear that. But
I had to drop a bomb for you.
Ooh, I like that.
Boom. Yes. Yes.
I have a new goal.
Speaking of goals, what are you most proud of? What's your biggest success, just kind of in general and career wise? Wow. I know. See, I used to do a lot of interviews.
Need the bomb now.
I know.
You know what? I try to live a life with no regrets, and I've done a lot of things that I'm really proud of. There've been a lot of things that I have to remind myself, you worked your butt off, you did good things, it wasn't the right fit, and it's okay that you've gone elsewhere. I'm really proud of Jaine because I never anticipated how great it would feel to have so many people, both men, women, whatever, like recognizing it and reaching out. And I can't remember, last week we were at an event. I walked into the ladies' room. Were you in there? I feel like you were.
I was not.
I walked into the ladies' room and there were like 4 women in there. They weren't in there together. It was just coincidental that they all had to pee at the same time. And I opened the door and I go, oh my gosh, it's like a Jaine meeting in here. Because it was like 4 members all in there at the same time. And it was so poignant to be able to recognize that and think, you know what, these women are banding together and doing some cool things and really making a difference. Mm-hmm. And to be able to sit at that table, I feel like a rock star sometimes.
So how did it come to be? So how did Jaine become Jaine?
Jaine has a long history. So Jaine was a brainchild of several of the women in the industry who were all having wine. I was not one of them. Dr. Mimi Vo, mm-hmm. Dina Ladd, Mitch Myers, Sarah Glasser, Corinne Chester. I think that was everyone. They were talking about the industry, talking about stuff. Someone said, you know, we should do some kind of like organization where all of the women in cannabis come together. And so like the idea was born. And then a couple months later, I was meeting Mimi, Dr. Mimi. It was our first time really interacting except over the phone, and we're chatting. And I'm like, so, you know, what can I do to help? How can I be more involved? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, we're starting this new women's organization. We could really use some help there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, count me in. It took a really long time for us to get off the ground, but we had so many people that were willing to support it and do pro bono stuff for us. Our logos, it used to be a different name, but we found that name was already taken and we didn't know it. The folks at Paradowski did our logo for us for the original iteration, and then the Jaine one was actually one of the 3 options they gave us from the beginning. And we finally launched in October. We were ready to go. Mitch Myers is famous for saying you only get one chance. So we had to make sure we were ready to go, and we launched, and it's been amazing, the support.
And let me read it off the sweatshirt here. I have one. It's across the room. You can see the photo online. Okay. Join, achieve, ignite, network, and empower. Okay.
Correct.
So it's We Are Jaine. So Jaine.
WeAreJaine.com.
And okay, so that was the brainchild. You launched. How many? What's membership looking like now?
We just had a membership committee meeting today, and I'm going blank. We're over 50 individual. We have a number of small business members and a number of corporate members, all different kinds of membership, depending on how many people you have in an organization that want to be a part. But we're growing, and it's really cool that, number one, we have a lot of dudes who want to support it.
Right.
But number two, we also have a lot of out-of-state members. So there are lots of women in other states who have reached out and said, hey, I live in Ohio, but I like what you guys are doing. Can I be a member? We've got great support in Colorado, Oklahoma, California, Michigan. You know, long term, it would be amazing if once federal legalization finally happens, if all of these individual groups, and not just women's organizations, but all these different groups that have formed groups, if they could come together, can you imagine what we could accomplish federally if we all joined forces? So that's, you know, a big goal. The other one is to make sure that women have a place in cannabis, so that when all the old broads like me retire, we have a whole new flock of powerful, strong women that are proud of what they do, and they're going to take it from here and train the ones behind them. It's like a legacy.
I like that. Yeah, that's how you really do it. Like, you put in the work to get in the position at the seat of the table, and then you just make sure yours is replaced with somebody just as good, if not better.
Always hire somebody smarter than you.
Yeah.
And so what, if people out there, if women out there or men out there wanted to join Jaine, I mean, what do you look for in a Jaine member? Like, what are you hoping to find in your Jaine membership?
There's a couple things I think that can benefit someone. And you know, I would never be someone who said that Jaine is for everyone. Whenever I talk to people who are interested in learning more, I always say, read more about us, see what we're about, see if it's a good fit for you. We're looking for women that are in the industry already, who want to empower other women in the industry. We're looking for women who want to be in the industry but need some help and some guidance and someone to talk to, someone to bounce ideas off. But, you know, the vision is really, at least from my perspective, when I know that I need to engage services or products of someone in this industry, the first place I'm going to go is the member directory for Jaine. Because if we have a member who does business in this space, I'm going to go to them first because I want to support and empower them. There's a lot of competition for ancillary businesses. If you think about packaging, or in your case, you've got a lot of competition with Grow Gear. But it's all those things that you do that make people choose you.
Right.
And so, you know, it's doing business with like-minded people and having people that want to support what we're trying to do.
Cool. I like it. So, yeah, I am a member of Jaine, and I'm on the aid committee. So I came in because, like you said, this has been, I guess, the pandemic kind of put sort of like a stop-start energy. But I came in, there were already initiatives laid out. Some of them were left by people who were not active in the aid committee anymore. So, but I was really impressed with what the initiatives are. And it made me, it confirmed my interest in sticking with the group and putting in my time and effort, because I really did believe in the objectives that the aid committee was setting out to accomplish. So it's, everybody's doing it on top of their already existing workloads, right? Like, I have stuff that I need to get back to the group with, but it's been a worthwhile experience for sure. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
That makes me really proud. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's been cool. Go ahead.
Okay, so I had one question. So
I feel like the bomb button's coming.
It might be. So I wanted to ask about clearly there aren't a whole lot of women in this space, but also particularly there are not a whole lot of black women in the space. So I was wondering, what is part of their mission to get more black women in the space?
So Lila is on what she called the AID committee. It's advocacy, inclusion, and diversion.
Diversity.
There are some badass black women in the space. I don't know if anyone knows Dasha Betts or Daisha Betts. She is the proprietress of G5 Express. They are a transportation and security company.
I've heard of this.
You don't want to piss her off. She is badass. And there are a lot of women like her. I know there's been a lot of press lately for Adrienne out of Luxury Leaf. Dr. Jamila Todd Owens also is part of that group. And we've encouraged everyone to join us. Some people have taken us up on it because it is right for them. Some people haven't. And we've taken some criticism. There are always going to be critics, especially those who play on social media and use that as their personal stage. We had some clashes in the beginning from some of those folks.
That is one of my questions that I have for you. And it pertains to Jaine, but it also pertains to just in general. Like, what are your advice for navigating kind of the politics between the traditional cannabis community and sort of the corporate cannabis community, and kind of bridging those gaps or making it more inclusive for those groups to coexist?
I think there's a lot of different ways to answer that. You know, the one thing that is sort of my own ethos that I really tend to stick with is make sure that the relationships that you want to maintain, that you nurture. Relationships are a huge part of this industry. And so, you know, I'm an introvert by nature, believe it or not. But there's no way that I could have gotten this enmeshed in this space if I didn't build relationships with people and do everything I could to make those valuable and add value to them. So anybody that's sort of a wallflower, you're gonna have to talk to other people and you know, look at it as a growth opportunity. Meet new people, go to an event. It might be uncomfortable, but people are very embracing. And they're going to say, hey, Lila, what's your story? Where do you come from? What do you do? And it goes from there. And then we wind up inevitably telling those cannabis stories. Why cannabis? For everybody. You've got something in common. And pretty soon, if you're good at relationships, pretty soon you sort of build your tribe.
Yeah.
As far as the corporate side of it, I think you find where you fit. You know? I mean, there's a lot of us that have long careers in other industries, but they found their fit here. And yes, that might be running a large cannabis corporation, but it's where they feel like they have their sanctuary. For some people, you know, it's, I want to be a trimmer. There's some mornings I wake up when I wouldn't mind being a trimmer for a day.
It's kind of nice to give yourself that mental break. Like,
Right?
yeah. There's something that I like about right now at the shop. Like, I'm literally, you know, I'm putting the price stickers on all of our items. Like, I'm entering the stuff. I'm doing like things that don't take a lot of mental energy some of the time, and that's kind of nice.
It is kind of nice, especially when there's so many decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis, because the speed of weed is a real thing. And so,
What do you mean by that?
It's kind of like dog years. You know, someone says, well, I've been in cannabis for 6 months.
Right.
I'm not going to scoff at that, because that's actually not a short time.
Depending on what it is.
If you look at everything that changes in 6 months. You know?
Yeah, things do change fast. I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's funny when you're saying the relationship parts, because I'll find myself, I've said to my friends on the phone, because I'm pretty introverted also. I enjoy, that doesn't mean you don't like interacting with people. It doesn't mean that you don't enjoy having those relationships and nurturing those relationships, but it does take a lot out of me that I think some people might be able to just like maintain a little better. So, my gosh, why does making money require me to talk to so many people?
Well, and
But it does.
It's
It
hard
really
to be
does.
on
Yeah,
all the time too,
yeah.
and depending on what you have going. I mean, you know, there are times during the day when I'm the face of Heya. There are times during the day when I'm the face of Jaine. We all have these different roles that we fill, and especially in this age of all Zoom, it really can feel like you're on all the time.
I hate Zoom. I'm so done with Zoom.
I think we all are. But it's a lot. It's a lot easier to stay in your comfort zone with Zoom, so that when you do go to an event, it's very exhilarating for a while, and then like 4 or 5 hours in, it's like I am tired and I want to put on my pajama pants.
Yeah.
But some people are the life of the party, and that's what they thrive on. Those are not the people that want to be a trimmer. Those are the guys that want to do sales and marketing, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't mind doing like a whole episode where we got somebody on and we're trimming. I have never actually trimmed before.
You should totally do that.
I feel like that'd be kind of tight.
There's been a number of, you know, creative ideas for events, patient education, stuff like that. And I've seen them do like best trim job and have the audience vote, best joint rolling. There's an element of fun to be had.
I was gonna ask. Now we're talking about rolling joints. Do you know how to roll one?
She was the champion for her aunt and uncle.
That's right. That is true.
You know what's ridiculous though? Today,
You lost your touch.
I lost my touch.
I've heard that.
But I hate to do a product plug, but I gotta tell you guys, I found a game changer.
Let's listen.
Is this okay? I mean, you can edit it out, right?
Go ahead.
So Grav, who makes an excellent pipe and has for many years.
Say it again.
Grav,
GRAV.
yes.
Okay.
They came out with these glass joints. It's like a round pop top, about this tall. Have you seen these? It's a pop top. Whoops.
That's fine.
You pop it open, and inside there are 7 glass tubes in a circle like a revolver. In the center, there's a glass mouthpiece with a silicone gasket. There's a cap on each of these little joint tubes at the top and the bottom. So you pop off all the tops, put your funnel that you get with it on top, pour your flower in. Comes with this little gadget, fills them up. Take the funnel off, cap them. And if you're like me, I'm usually consuming by myself right before bed. I'm not going to smoke a pre-roll for 4 days and it still have the same potency and deliciousness and whatever. You take one out, you take off both ends, you put the mouthpiece on, slide the thing down. It's a joint or a pre-roll without the paper. And you use it as a plunger. The mouthpiece is a plunger, so you continually have flower coming out the end as you smoke it.
And it's glass.
And it's glass.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Because I find rolling paper can be really harsh.
Sure. Yeah. It can be.
Yeah, depending on the paper. Shout out
Hand wraps.
hand wraps.
There you go.
Plug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is my homie actually. He
Yeah?
he made these.
Awesome.
Yeah. Shout out Justin.
Yeah.
Way to go, Justin.
So what's your preferred smoking method? Sounds like a joint? A glass.
Truly, the glass joints have really changed for me just because it makes it so easy and it's a smooth smoke. But I am not an edibles aficionado. I love to make them at home because I can't have sugar and there's not a lot of sugar-free options. But I usually make them for other people because that's fun. But I would rather smoke than anything.
Yeah.
Unless we're talking about Ripple, which, P.S., is the best cannabis product ever made. It's the THC dissolvable.
I've never seen this.
It's in Colorado.
Okay.
They don't license outside of Colorado, although they're doing a pilot in Michigan. It's a 10 milligram packet. Comes in a little plastic canister. No taste, no smell, no nothing. They're amazing.
What is it? You eat it? Is it like a...
You put it in any liquid, and it dissolves instantly,
Oh.
and you would never know it was in there.
Interesting. So it's like emergency kind of, like a granule. Okay.
That's a perfect description.
I gotcha. Interesting.
But there's people who put it in their food. There's people who put it in coffee, water, tea, anything.
Oh.
It's pretty great.
I'm surprised there hasn't been different copycat brands of that.
Not for lack of trying.
Okay, they've got it locked down, huh? Wow. Interesting. So we've got something rolling up.
Open it.
It is a grape ape bud. I actually forget the name of the strain. It's grapes.
That's all I was saying.
Oh, should I do it all over again?
Just do your thing.
We got
Yo, it's like a
Dylan.
new
We
theme
got-
now.
What?
Yeah, last week we had a joint roller in the
Oh.
building. Hey man, I don't know. Is TooT3rp moving up? We got
Okay.
joint rollers in the building now.
Okay.
We got joint rollers on staff now.
Yeah. Dylan's here today. Our son is out, so he's able to come roll my joints. No.
Ah!
What would you do with
Yeah,
Yeah, Lila said
Someone's
she brought
gotta
a
roll.
joint roller today.
that's right. He's better at it than me. I'm really not good at rolling joints.
No,
No.
I guess I never asked you that, huh?
Me?
Could I recommend the glass
The
strain?
grab. I mean, I could sit here and try. I'll do it.
Honestly,
Honestly,
yeah, you
we
have
should.
to.
We have to go head to head because I was not
Episode
here.
73, head to head.
And we need to submit it to the public without them knowing who did which one. And they got to vote.
You already know I'm down for that.
Okay.
You already know.
That's a nicely rolled joint.
Hell yeah.
Good job.
It's like an infant's leg.
Yeah.
Low tolerance.
Oh, man.
Tell me more about what we're enjoying.
Okay. So this is actually a dispensary product. I don't have the packaging. I don't remember. This is the first flower I've ever bought from a dispensary.
Okay.
It is a proper.
If it starts
product.
with grape,
Yes.
could it be Grape Mountain?
It is.
Okay, can I just
Yeah.
improvise for a second? Shout out to Garrett Patton,
Okay.
who is employed by Proper.
Okay.
Garrett told me, we had lunch one day. We were talking about different strains. He says, you got to try Grape Mountain. And I'm like, okay, tell me more. He's like, it's not super high THC,
Right.
but it's so good and it's really subtle and the terps are insane. And I'm like, dude, I'm sold. I went to Proper. I got some. And like within 2 days, I'm texting him frantically. I'm like, you are amazing.
Hey.
And I'm telling everyone I know how great it is. And I just told John Pennington the other night, I go, by the way, Garrett Patton
Yeah.
has completely made Grape Mountain a favorite because it's great.
So Starbuds is right next to my house
Yeah.
in U City. So I went up there and they don't have labels on their jars, which is kind of cool because you could really evaluate it without a brand attached to it at first.
It's clever.
Yeah. Would you like some?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, and if you listen, you know that I kind of prefer like a mid-range THC. Like I don't, yeah. And so looking at the jars, this one caught my eye, and then they're like, yeah, again, it does say the THC percentage, and it's like I think 17%. And for me, that's actually good because then
Me
I
too.
can continue to smoke, and especially if I'm up here trying to hold a conversation and host a conversation. So, what do you think?
It's pretty good. I feel like when we start smoking, that's when I can really like just kind of calm down and get into the mode of like, all right, now we can kind of chill.
Yeah.
Like just
I feel like you're going to pull out like a velvet smoking jacket now and your slippers, and we're going to get very philosophical.
see, now you're talking about my future show that's coming in like decades from now.
Episode 74.
Oh, that's like
Smoking
700.
jacket.
No, it's gonna be 700 something right there. Like, it's gonna be some decades from now. You kind of like that's my retirement podcast that I'm gonna have. It's like I'm gonna be in a like I said, I'm gonna be in a nice little what do they call that?
Ascot.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna have the slippers, like you said, but have the fireplace in the background.
Yeah.
And I have like one of those old man pipes
Oh,
with the rocking chair, but it's gonna be a fancy rocking chair, and just go back and talk shit because I'm gonna be old and not care about anything of that life. So
hey.
just go and just talk mad shit and just be like, yep, this is what happened back then. Now y'all want to know? Now I'll tell
There
you.
you go. All the
good to
behind the
have a goal.
scenes of TooT3rpd is coming out on the Old Man podcast later down the road.
Check it out in 4 decades.
Yeah, I like it. Keep my secrets, though,
I'm
okay?
a big fan of the Green Magazine. I'm glad you guys found it.
I got you.
Okay, cool. Oh, man. Okay, we also have a news segment. Are we going to smoke and do the news? Or do you need to smoke first? All right. Oh, what's it? It's a bird's eye view of cannabis news.
Oh, yeah.
of
On
the
today's
state.
TooT report.
Yes, on today's TooT report. So we have a local story and we have an out-of-state story for today. I'm going to cover some local news that goes back about almost a week now, Tuesday, March 8th. There was a committee hearing in Jefferson City at the Capitol for House Bill 2704, which was introduced by Republican Ron Hicks. It was introduced, when is it? Last month, I think, at some point. It's been a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it's got bipartisan support and sponsorship. There's a pretty growing list of sponsors for the bill. There was a committee hearing to hear out folks who are in support of this bill and in opposition to the bill. I was in the building. I did not testify. I was in observation mode. I was really there to kind of get the lay of the land and understand where everybody's coming from here and what's going on. And I still have not myself read the 77 pages of the bill yet, which I hate to, I got to do that, right? I should probably do that. Probably read those 77 pages. So there were about 25 people that testified in support of the bill, and there was a good group that was there that didn't get to testify. So there was more people that wanted to testify in support that didn't even get to. There was support from a active police chief for the bill. Brennan England testified in support of the bill. Waxy Brown testified in support of the bill. We had Eric McCauley, who served 13 years for a cannabis offense, who's recently been released, who testified in support of the bill. And the list goes on. And then we had later in the afternoon, and I actually missed both of the hearings. So I got there late. So I missed the one in support, and then I had to leave before the one in opposition because it dragged on and on and on. But I was kind of there in between and got to talk to people. And then I did watch the videos. So the videos you can actually see on the archive if you're interested in watching these hearings. You can go to the mo.something website, whatever the Missouri court website, and go into the archive videos. And these were on March 8th. And there was one in the morning. They were called safety hearings. So you could actually go watch those videos. And then we had the opposition who were testifying in opposition, and that was a group of license holders in the state of Missouri. And we had some former law enforcement testifying in opposition of the bill. We had a testing facility owner testing in opposition. We had a Catholic organization rep testing in opposition. There was, I think, about 10 to 15 people that testified in opposition of the bill as well. So, I mean, I would just suggest going and watching the video yourself if you're interested and making your own opinion of what you think. It was I have watched almost in full now both of the hearing videos. So check it out. Stay aware. I did just kind of want to explain the difference between this House bill and then an initiative petition, which is what Fair Access and Legal Missouri is. I hope I'm not talking down to anybody, but I didn't quite understand the difference at first, so I figure this might help some people. So the House bill is something that would go straight through the legislature. And that's what the hearing was about, and that is something that the lawmakers would have a lot of control over. So this bill has been presented to them, and it does allow for negotiation, essentially. So what it looks like today might not be its final form if it does get passed through the House, and then the Senate would be more difficult, but hey, not impossible, right? The House bill, again, you're not ever going to see that on the ballot. So if you look into it and it's something that you are in support of, you have to take proactive action to demonstrate that support. You have to show up to these hearings, write a testimony, which you can actually do through the 18th of March in support or opposition. And so that's how you get involved that way. You have conversations with the lawmakers about it. Then the initiative petitions, Fair Access Missouri, Legal Missouri 22, those are petitions that are gathering signature collection. They will go on the ballot, and they are decided by the voters. They are pretty much in like a more final form. So when the amendment gets passed, it's an amendment to the state constitution. So if once that gets passed, the process for changing that is very different than a bill, which can have pros and cons, right? Depending on whether you really like what's in the amendment or you don't. So it's interesting nonetheless. So just keep in mind, House Bill 2704 will never be in front of you to vote on. And the petitions are circulating for legal mo and fair access, and that could potentially be something that would be on the ballot in November. That's my news report.
Damn.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Damn. See, all right. See, this is like school again. I'm getting anxiety all over again. You know, you got the smart kid over here doing this bomb ass shit, and then here I come following up.
You got it.
I don't know, man. You did really good with that.
All right.
That was dope.
Okay.
Yeah. I like you leading the news, honestly. You like a real newswoman.
Maybe I will. Maybe they'll go straight into newscasting from here.
It's Lila. I'm here on site in Jeff City.
I could totally see
I'll
it.
tell you, there is a sight to see inside that courtroom.
No, it's gonna be just like that too, with her smoking the joint, just like that. While she's saying it, that's exactly how it's gonna be. All right, let's see if I can do this. All right, so cannabis chemical Delta 8 under Georgia law, legal under Georgia law. So there's a suit going on right now, and this is from Fox 5 Atlanta. So they say that a new lawsuit in Georgia seeks a court order declaring that a chemical related to the main intoxicating ingredient in pot is legal under state law, aka Delta 8. So from what I gathered from the story, there's a district attorney, Patsy Austin Gatson, that said that the distribution of Delta 8 in gas stations and other stores shouldn't be legal because she didn't look at it as what it was claimed to be, as it's an illicit drug. It's basically what she was trying to say it was. And now they're trying to make a suit to say that actually Delta 8 should be legal and be able to be purchased anywhere. So it's kind of the wrap up. What I got.
Okay. So wait, was that a final ruling? I spaced out. I was smoking a joint. I got distracted.
No, so they're doing the suit right now.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
we have to wait and see what happens
Exactly.
from here. Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
And like
There's
I
a
said,
lot of those going on across the country.
Really?
There's just, each state is having like its own go round with Delta 8.
Including us.
Uh-huh.
If you guys probably covered it recently. That DHSS has said it's not part of their purview for the most part.
Right.
But it is something that, it's happening, and like everything else, I think it's important for people to educate themselves with information that's not just on social media, and learn about, what's out there and what the consequences could be or what the benefits could be.
I have a couple Delta 8 seltzers in the fridge, and I really like them. They're the first and only Delta 8 product I've ever had. It's the Loyal Hemp seltzers, and they're really good.
Shout out Josh.
Like they'll get you too. Like the 20 milligram ones are pretty much good for me, and it's when I want to drink one when I have like nothing that I have to accomplish for the next hour. I want to relax. Yeah, and the flavors are really good.
Good.
Ooh, let me wrap up. And that's this week's Turp Report.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, cool.
There you go.
I like that. Ooh, I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I always get nervous when it gets below that in because it starts burning my fingers and all that. I'm afraid I'm gonna drop it. I'm a rookie.
You know when that doesn't happen?
Go ahead.
When you use a grab glass.
I like it.
That's funny. I'll have to check those out, though.
I need to let them know I need some kind of royalty.
That's right. There you go.
I feel like, well, that's the thing, though, and that's another really cool thing about the industry is that there's always, like, a cool product that you get introduced to, especially if you work in media. There's a lot of people that are reaching out and saying, hey, we'd like to send you this to try. Or, like in the GreenWay case, I did a story about the different home infusion machines. So we had a Levo, we had a Nova Ardent, the purple one. We had what is the other big Missouri one? Not Mr. Butter. The,
magical extractor or something
I can
like that?
see it right
Magical
in front of me. It's like a 3-letter. Anyway, but we tested them out, and you quickly figure out when you're going to review something. What do I love about it? What do I hate about it? What would I want to know if I was buying one myself? But there's so many cool products out there. I wouldn't have found out about the Grav thing except at MJ BizCon. I stopped and talked to the Grav rep because I love my spoon that I've had for 5-6 years. I just think they make a good product. She's like, let me tell you about this. And it made so much sense. But this community, we're always saying, hey man, have you tried the blah blah blah? You know?
And it's genuine.
It is.
You know, like last week's product that got plugged.
Oh yes, yes.
That came through, right? He plugged our podcast, right?
I love
Most
it.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
We got them coming through soon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when the the Peaks first came out? Everybody was like, "Oh, have you seen the Peak Pro?"
I haven't. What are they?
It's a concentrate
Oh.
machine device.
Yeah, like the Puffcos.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
But
Okay.
there's one now that's called the Seahorse that I've seen. Looks very similar design-wise, but I think it has some differences. Mm-hmm. But that's innovation too. And
Yeah.
it's cool to see innovation in this space because people that have not been a part of cannabis over a lifetime have never seen people turn an apple into a bong or, make their own, what you call it, with the toilet paper roll and the Downy sheet.
Oh, yeah. What did we call that?
A sploof.
What'd you call it? Oh, friendly neighbor? That's what we called it.
That's fun. But I mean, there's
Yeah.
lots of innovators in this space, and people who have consumed cannabis for a long time are among the best innovators you'll ever see.
That's
Yeah.
a fact.
So like a towel under the door and then the friendly neighbor. That's your hotel kit for being
I
friendly.
stand on top of the toilet with the fan turned on and blow directly up. That's my
Fabric
secret.
softeners
You're
at the end
welcome.
of the toilet. Yes, yes.
So,
They're making some sprays though that work. Actually, there's some in here that I tried and they actually do work. And I'll hold off on plugging the specific one, but there's a couple ones out there that I like. Yeah. So tell us about being a contributor for GreenWay.
It's funny. GreenWay, a lot of people read, a lot of people enjoy. It's certainly where I think most of the people that work in the industry turn to learn about what's happening in the industry from a business owner perspective. Rachel Herndon, who ran the Missouri Times for a number of years, and Brandon Dunn launched GreenWay. It was their baby, and did an amazing job. And both of them are very humble, so they would never say this out loud. But they have been this really great place where people can come and say, I have this idea, and they'll go, okay, tell me more. And then you finish, and they're like, okay, do it. Really? Yeah, for sure. They've launched a number of series. Women to Watch is my favorite that I've worked on. I did one on Cannabis Pioneers. Totally open to that, but I think our history is important. There's a lot of people who don't know everything that came before now. There's a lot of people that don't know this is not just a Missouri thing. And that's important, just like any other piece of history. It's important to know the people who came before you and fought for you. But it's always been a very nurturing place, and there's a lot of people that have come into GreenWay for a short time and done some work and then found their fit. There's people that have come in and left again and come back. It's just such a great place to be able to talk to smart people and brainstorm. I love that they've done the Reader's Choice Awards, which just happened.
Okay, that was through them.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So every year there's a Reader's Choice. There's nominations that are sent out to the public.
Right.
Different
I voted.
categories.
I think I voted.
Good job.
Yeah.
and people get an award, and it's really nice to have that kind of recognition from readers, for sure. You know, it's validating in a sense, but it also feels good that people cared enough to go and vote. You know,
They had like, I think 10,000 votes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a great experience, and Brandon and Rachel both. You know, I've worked for and with both of them, and they're incredible people that really care about the industry and patients. Brandon will tell you that Patients Magazine is near and dear to his heart. It was a great experience, and it led to other things for me.
Okay, so you don't contribute anymore.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
They're also very gracious when I say I gotta dial back. But
There's not enough hours in the day.
no, there's not. But it's been such a good springboard for so many people that I've met. You know, I was telling you guys beforehand, I met Brennan because I was doing a story about cannabis beverages. Heard his cannabis story, huge fan. You know, fast forward a year, 2 years later, you won't find a bigger fan of the Cola Lounge and Brennan himself. And so those are the things that I think are really serendipitous, you know?
Yeah.
Most definitely.
It's important to have good media out there. It's huge. Media is so incredibly powerful.
And I think it's important to have options too.
That's a fact.
You know, Evolution is a magazine in Missouri as well. I think that their base is a little different. I think they're a lot more focused on the end user. There's room for both of them. Again, it comes down to what's right for me in what I do, where I live, what I want to consume. But it's nice to have multiple viewpoints too.
I feel like that's the only way to really look at life. If you just look at life through one perspective, you live a really sad life.
Well, sure.
Yeah, because like you have to look at the world through multiple perspectives. You got to be able to take one thing from one thing and take it from the other. Because honestly, everybody has their own narrative. So that's why it's really important to look for different perspectives. So then that way you hear from somebody's perspective or somebody's narrative, because that's all of this is. These are all just shit. I'm voicing my narrative or my opinion. Lila's doing the same thing. Tammy's also doing the same. At the end of the day, you can all listen to this and take what you want from it and build your own opinion from it. And you should go somewhere else and listen to it too and get their opinion from it. That's how you really get a really true perspective on the world of anything.
Well, yeah, think about our forefathers. Go back hundreds of years. If everybody was just following the same path and everybody was listening to this one person in charge, we wouldn't be sitting here. A black guy and two chicks? No.
That's right.
And I don't mean that in a demeaning way to any of us. But there are people who
Chicks
came
not bad.
before us who did an awful lot of work on our behalf.
That's a fact.
And that's part of who we are. It's
Yeah.
how we got here.
Yep. That is a fact.
And we talked a little bit about because Jaine, again, like we read through, it doesn't say women's in the thing. You can be a man and join, but it is a women's organization, right? Or you know, if you go on the website, it's focused around empowering and networking with other women, right? And is that, I mean, why do you think it's important that we have organizations like Jaine?
I think that there are lots of groups that don't fit the mold of what a lot of people think the mold should be, whether that's someone that in the LGBTQ community, whether that's a person of color, whether that's a person of a different gender. There's a reason why we start to organize, and it's because we don't feel like we're getting equal treatment in the workplace, in education, in society, whatever it may be. And, you know, you get together with like-minded people when you have a common cause. And if you don't, strictly my opinion, not the opinion of anyone I represent, just me, Tammy P.
There you go.
I think that you make the decisions about where you go in life. You either choose to follow the herd or you choose to believe in something. And if you believe in something strong enough, I think that you take action. And that's a choice you make. And there are a lot of people that I think are very happy to be the status quo. And they'll go and do a job that they don't like. Mm-hmm. They'll go and do a job that they're okay with. They'll hang out with people that are convenient, but not necessarily people that they really feel like they know and would do anything for. You've got your family. I mean, there's so many things to be passionate about if you choose to have a passion. Mm-hmm. Everybody picks their own. For me, when I'm sitting next to someone and we're doing the exact same job, and let's say our output is exactly the same, we should be getting similar compensation, mm-hmm. similar treatment. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And there was yeah.
That's a fact.
I like the bomb.
She knows it now. She knows where it is on the soundboard.
I know which button it is.
Man, I totally forgot what I was going to say. It was right there for me, and I just lost it.
Well, the thing that we talked about earlier is, it's very easy to give people labels.
Yeah.
You can call me a raging feminist, and what immediately comes to mind is, oh, she's a man-hater. She's a ball buster.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I love men.
Yeah. So
I'm not a man-hater.
Yeah. Well, because the data's out there now. So, and there was, a study recently that the women's inclusion in the industry has actually dropped.
The women in cannabis
you would
study.
expect that as the years are going on, you would expect, and women are buying more weed products, but they're not being involved in the industry. So, you see that, and you're like, well, I'm a woman in this space. There's only 3%. Well, okay, ancillary, but you can quantify it all different kinds of ways. It's still not representative of the users of cannabis, for sure. But I think it is. Is it a bit higher than general corporate America cannabis?
It's slightly lower.
Is it? Ooh, okay.
There is a study that just came out, if people are interested in learning more about. It's called the Women in Cannabis Study. Mm-hmm. It was put out by a group led by Jennifer Wetzel. It was a year in the making, and it talks to all of the different things about women in cannabis, whether it's patient, consumer, marketer, salesperson, cultivator. But there are certain things that we see as trends, especially when you look around in a new market like us, because we're still new. Mm-hmm. You can count on probably two hands how many female cultivators are working in a commercial grow. Mm-hmm. There's a greater percentage of women who work in retail than men. Mm. And
in marketing, I would think.
There's stuff to that.
Yeah, right.
There's always going to be some professions that naturally, one gender or another might be drawn to. Mm-hmm. But let's not exclude anybody.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Because I'll tell you, there was an illicit grower who I obtained product from here in the city. It was, without question, the most beautiful, most potent, most nurtured, babied cannabis I've ever seen. Enough that I said to the person that procured it for me, mm-hmm. I know that I'm not supposed to know who she is, but if she wants to go legit, please send her my way. Mm-hmm. Because once you see what she's capable of, sky's the limit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We need more women in the space in general. But it's, this is part of it. I think that's why, I think that because of its illicit history, that's why we have such a far way to go. I've talked about it before, but because women were really needing to be protected to be able to raise the kids and take care of the house and everything else if, things went bad. So we need to go from being, hidden away to being like, okay, and make it a safe environment to do so. And that's why I think organizations like Jaine are very important, because it helps legitimize, normalize all of that to cannabis. So people, I think, are going to become more comfortable coming across to the other side, I hope.
Well, and I think as women, there's a sense of responsibility. When you when you think about women role models, when you think about even from a career perspective, when you think about all the managers or bosses you've ever had, you remember the really good ones and you think about the things you learn from them, but you also remember the really bad ones, and that helps frame how you make sure you don't become that person when you're in that seat. Mm-hmm. And so I want women to see other women succeeding in cannabis and say, hey, I could do that. If she can do that and she can do that and she can do that, there's no reason I can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't want it to be hidden. I don't want it to, what if you have someone that is a young person that has this amazing talent for cultivation and they feel like they have to hide it because they don't know any women cultivators that are successful.
Mm-hmm. Well, really, truth be told, once you, part of what I found out about TooT3rp, honestly, is a lot of the people that come on this show, they usually have a significant other, and that woman is really the key factor to their growth. So, it's one of those things of where it's they're not always shown, but it's you always really know if you really know, you know who's really doing what.
And there's so many different roles to play too. Yeah, you can be involved with cannabis without being the cultivator. You know what I mean?
Or being a patient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I can work in a bar and not drink.
Right. Yeah.
That's a fact. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people who don't actually consume cannabis, but make some bomb edibles.
That's true.
There's a lot of women in the industry.
Next time, I'll have both coffees and some edibles for you to try.
Okay.
Fresh from the kitchen.
There you go. Nice.
I like it.
That's how I make sure there's a follow-up.
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I see, first off, you didn't even have to do that because you already know you're coming back on. I like Tammy P.
Yeah.
Tammy P a G.
Well, I'm tickled to be here. This is one of those things that you said, hey, we do this podcast. Would you?
Yeah, you were real. Yeah, that was very easy. I really appreciate it,
Yes,
though.
please.
No, that means a lot, though. Just that you're willing to come on because, it's. I think that we need to have everybody. If we're talking about we want the industry to be more inclusive, who are we to just sit around and wait for that? You know what I mean? We better go ahead and bring that together then, if that's what we want. Mm-hmm. Or we can just sit there and say, oh, I wish it was more inclusive. I wish, so. Again, thanks for helping us do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Loving every minute.
Cool.
Hell yeah. All right.
What do you think?
Yeah. Hour.
Yeah, we did good.
You got anything for us?
Yeah, well, it's not like a typical where do they find you kind of thing, but I mean, at wearejane.com probably, right?
Wearejane.com?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was going to ask you, did she have any questions for us?
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
What can patients or the industry do to support things like this?
As soon as we get it out, our Patreon.
Okay.
Yeah. Because what my true plan is that I really want to try to stay independent.
Okay.
And build my own corporation.
Okay.
And start it with people from the ground up. So anything to help me support, do that. Help another minority grow in this space.
Do you have any Patreon accounts? Do you do any Patreon?
I don't.
I only have one. I have one, but it's like a additional content.
Yeah, I'm familiar with how it works.
Yeah.
I am not a big consumer of television. Mm-hmm. I have music on 24/7, but there's something very sort of calming about certain things on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Fun fact, embarrassing, not afraid to share. There's ASMR music on YouTube that helps calm you. I made the mistake of playing some ASMR for the cats. It's specific to cats, ASMR. So now I have these addict YouTube cats that want to watch their content, which is so bizarre. It makes me sound like I'm 100 years old and whatever. But
I like it.
I like this guy who does art restoration. He's in Chicago. He restores old paintings. He has a Patreon thing that he plugs, and it's for additional content. But he has a ton of people that do Patreon because they want the extra content.
Yep.
And, you know, it's like any other sort of thing that you can patronize.
Mm-hmm.
If you want something, there's a cost associated with it. And if you want something extra, that's where you charge for it.
Yep. I figured that's how we could do the video version of it, because a lot of people are also camera shy and they don't necessarily want their face out there all the way like that. So I figure that's another way to add anonymity. So, you know, if you really want to see their faces, go ahead and spend that money, spend that bread.
And then they're not, it's like more controlled, right?
The one thing I do want to make sure, though, is that I want to make sure at least some audio, we're for sure always going to have at least one episode always free. Always. If not more, but at least one. I'll always promise y'all that.
Yeah, the Patreon that I follow, there's additional tiers that I don't even follow.
Yeah.
Like there's there's all different kinds of levels. And sometimes she'll preview the other stuff on the one that I have, and I'm like, oh God, I have to get into the other tier. It's $20.
That's how they get you.
I know. Yep. Yeah.
Yep. Hopefully we'll get people to do that.
The only other thing that I would say, you know, we talked a lot about the political aspects of cannabis, and I think that your political beliefs, you decide whether or not they're public or private. I like to keep mine private, but regardless of which initiative you're in favor of, whether it's the bill or the initiatives, it's okay to have strong feelings about one versus the other, and I think it's important to have strong feelings, but educate yourself and understand that you lose your right in many conversations to complain about the outcome if you don't make your voice heard through a vote or through contacting your legislators. There are so many people that want to start arguments and conflicts and discussions about which is better. You're the one that decides that, and you have everything that you need available to learn the differences. But if you don't take action, then don't come and tell me how awful the outcome was, because me personally, no.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I try to talk about that we want to do on TooT3rp is our opinion is our opinion, but we still want everyone to be able to have their own.
Absolutely.
So anybody with any perspective, any bill, anything from all varieties, come on this show and talk your shit, because just like we have a voice, I want everybody else to have a voice too. I really do. When I say I want this to be the equalizer, I really do mean that.
Well, and nobody has to lose in order for everybody to win.
Exactly.
You know, we've come a long way. 10 years ago, would you have thought we would have the program in place that we do? I can tell you, I was at the first retail sale in Missouri, and I was covering it for GreenWay. But being there for that moment and seeing this cancer patient able to buy medicine to make himself better, it was a big moment. And it was a long time coming, but it's because people were willing to do something about it.
Right. That's a fact.
Yep. It's been interesting, if nothing else. And I think we just have to be able to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's actually something that I found being there last week was, you know, these are just people and they're just like sitting there. So you can literally go talk to them. So, you know, before you have a characterization of these people in your head, like it's good to see it for yourself. And then, you know, make that determination.
For sure. Yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much. Any
Thanks
other
for
questions?
having me.
I think, we got them all.
Okay, cool.
I don't want to ask too many because then, like she said, she can't come back. So, no.
Oh, there'll be plenty going on. What is it? Cannabis years? Cannabis?
Dog years.
Dog years,
Cannabis.
yeah. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, if we 73, what would that make us then?
What do you mean? If this is episode 72.
Oh, no, you're right, 72. So,
Yeah.
and then dog years, where would we be?
Oh.
I don't do head math. I'm words, not math.
Okay, cool.
I'll come up with synonyms for y'all all day long. No head math.
I'm kind of with you on that. I'm kind of there too. I double check everything. I'll never trust a number coming out of my mouth without a calculator.
Not for real.
Yeah.
All right. Now go ahead and let them know your socials.
Now what?
Your socials.
Oh, wearejaine.com.
Mm-hmm.
We're on LinkedIn, We Are Jaine. We're on Facebook, We Are Jaine. We're on Twitter, We Are Jaine. And we're also on Instagram, We Are Jaine. And you'll see the logo and you'll see the interesting spelling of Jaine with the I in the middle. Easy to find us. Everybody is welcome. See if it feels like something you want to do. We do a lot of free events. We've got some coming up. Love to have more women in the space or men that support women in the space.
Yeah, I'm gonna check
And
y'all
of
out.
course, HeyaWellness.com.
We really didn't even talk about that much, did we?
No, but hey, next episode.
Next episode.
All right, yeah.
You'll come
Dun,
with your
dun.
Heya.
Right?
Well, you have your Heya hat on, but
do.
you could come with like your
My swag. Swagger in with
in
my
your Heya
swag.
perspective.
We could do some giveaways.
Oh yeah, people
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Like
giveaways. Oh,
giveaways.
by the way, we have a giveaway going on at Grow Gear if you want to get
Tell
into it.
us more.
So we're giving away a 4x4 gorilla tent. We're giving away 2 bags of grow media, cocoa or soil, and we're giving away a liter of fish shit. Literally. Do you know that product?
I do.
Yeah. So we have it's like a $520 value. It's a great prize for somebody who's trying to get up and growing with their home grow. And any purchase gets you into the raffle, and we're drawing the winner on the 20th. So you need to get down there before the 20th. And we'll announce it on the
Gear.
22nd. Yep.
Those gorilla tents, I see a lot of chatter about how great those are.
They are, they're pretty hardcore. I
Yeah.
mean, we were actually at Third Eyes.
Yep, shout out Third
Yeah,
Eye.
and I asked him because he had a side-by-side of 2 different products that I carry, and gorilla tents always seem like the best one on the market, and he's like, yeah. But, you know, hey, they're pricey. You pay for that quality, too.
Sure.
You can start in a smaller one and work your way up unless you win the giveaway.
I love it.
Word up.
All right. Yep, you know where to find us at Grow Gear, STL, Grow Gear STL on socials, and down on Ivanhoe in Lindenwood Park, South City, St. Louis.
Hey.
We are growing the listenership. We're not even trying. We are growing the listenership outside of St. Louis. So now we got to get specific.
That is true. You right.
know?
You right.
Yeah.
You right. Yeah.
They got to know where to find us.
Yeah, we said this year we going statewide. Next year, countrywide.
There you go.
I love the goal setting.
Yeah. Hey, we started with the city last year, and I feel like, we put a dent in it. So
Yeah.
let's keep going.
Progress, not perfection, right?
That's right. Because if you keep on progressing enough, you'll turn it into perfection. So enough repetition, it'll turn into perfection. That's the goal around here.
I like it.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up real quick. Don't forget about my guy, Ryan Risky Fargo, at Ryan Risky Fargo on all socials, Flucker. And don't forget about following TooT3rpd on Instagram. There we go. And then make sure you follow us on YouTube. Make sure you hit up that hotline with the voicemails and text, 314-399-9711. And don't forget to follow me, Donovan2408, on all social media platforms. All right, y'all. It's been another episode of the TooT3rp podcast. And we'll see y'all next time.
There you go.
Peace.
It's 2 2 2
Turp.